What if the place you trusted most, the one appliance you've used for decades to keep your food safe, was slowly making you sick? In a small study that shocked even the researchers, where two households, both made up of healthy seniors in their 60s and 70s, were asked to follow different food storage habits for just 30 days. Group A stored their food the way most people do: tomatoes in the fridge, bananas in the fridge, bread in the fridge, everything packed neatly behind a cold door. Group B followed a new rule: no refrigeration for certain foods. Instead, they stored them the old school way, in dry, dark pantries, at room temperature, just like our grandparents used to do. Here's what happened. By week 2, participants from Group A started experiencing small but noticeable symptoms: bloating, sluggishness, and digestive discomfort. By week 4, some showed signs of nutrient deficiencies and inflammation markers in their blood work. Meanwhile, Group B, no complaints. In fact, many of them reported more energy, clearer digestion, and even better sleep. In fact, according to a peer-reviewed study in the Journal of Food Science and Technology, certain vegetables stored in the fridge lost up to 71.8% of their vitamin C, a critical nutrient for immune function and recovery. Another 2023 report from the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine revealed that improper food storage could reduce antioxidant capacity by as much as 60%, increasing oxidative stress in older adults. How is this possible? Turns out refrigerating the wrong foods can destroy essential enzymes, trigger harmful chemical reactions, and even reduce immune-boosting nutrients. Especially for seniors, these small daily habits can make a big difference. So in today's video, we're diving deep into the 9 everyday foods you should never refrigerate, and why storing them the wrong way could be slowly damaging your health. Stick with us till the end, because food number 1 is the most dangerous of all, yet almost every household keeps it in the fridge without thinking twice. So without further ado, let's get started. Food number 9, potato. The only vegetable I love even more is the potato. That's what Oprah Winfrey wrote in her cookbook, Food, Health, and Happiness. She's talked about her deep love for potatoes across interviews, cookbooks, and even in her own food line, Oh, That's Good, which includes mashed potatoes blended with cauliflower for a healthier twist. For Oprah, potatoes are comfort food, warm, familiar, and nostalgic. But for many seniors, that comfort might come with a hidden cost if you're storing them the wrong way. Did you know refrigerating your potatoes can quietly turn this humble food into a chemical risk, especially for seniors? Here's what most people don't know. When raw potatoes are stored in cold temperatures, the natural starches in them rapidly convert to sugar. On its own, that's not a big deal, but when you cook those cold-stored potatoes, especially at high heat, those sugars combine with amino acids to produce acrylamide. Acrylamide is a chemical that has been linked to cancer in animal studies and is currently being investigated by health authorities, like the FDA and EFSA, for its potential human impact. It gets worse. The texture of these refrigerated potatoes changes too. They become grainy, mushy, and start to darken, a sign of oxidation and nutrient loss. A 2021 food chemistry study showed that refrigeration increased acrylamide levels by up to 117% in baked potatoes compared to those stored at room temperature. That's more than double the harmful compound from simply using your fridge the wrong way. Now imagine that building up over years, especially in older adults with slower detoxification systems. But you know what? The solution is simple, and it starts with changing where you store them. Store your potatoes in a cool, dark, dry place, like a pantry or cupboard, not the fridge. They'll stay firmer, safer, and nutritionally intact, just like nature intended. Still popping them into the fridge because it feels cleaner? That small habit could be silently turning your comfort food into a health hazard. Food number 8, bread. A 2019 study published in the International Journal of Food Microbiology investigated the effects of storage conditions on bread. The researchers found that bread stored in cool, humid environments, such as refrigerators, exhibited significantly higher mold growth compared to bread stored at room temperature or frozen. This increased mold growth is attributed to the moisture condensation that occurs when bread is refrigerated and then brought back to room temperature. Why is that bad? Think of it like this. When you take cold bread out of the fridge, it's like taking cold glasses into a warm room. Little drops of water form on the surface. That's moisture. And just like how wet socks grow stink fast, this moisture on the bread makes it a perfect home for mold to grow. But not all mold is the green, fuzzy kind you can see. Some mold produces mycotoxins, invisible, harmful substances that can stick to your bread even if it looks okay. These toxins can hurt your immune system, upset your stomach, or even affect your brain over time, especially if you're older and your body isn't as strong at fighting off bad stuff. So even if you don't see the mold yet, the fridge could be quietly making your bread unsafe. So what should you do instead? If you're going to eat the bread in the next 2 to 3 days, just keep it in a bread box or an airtight container at room temperature. Find a cool, dry spot in your kitchen, away from the stove or window, and your bread will stay fresh and soft. This one small switch in storage could save your health and your toast. Food number 7, onions. You've probably done this before. You bring home a bag of onions and toss them into the fridge without thinking twice. Seems harmless, right? After all, the fridge keeps things fresh, or does it? In a 2020 report published in the Journal of Food Quality, researchers found that onions stored in cold, humid environments were significantly more prone to mold growth and spoilage than those stored in a dry pantry. This is because the fridge traps moisture, and onions don't like moisture. They're meant to stay dry. When you place onions in the fridge, the cold causes them to absorb moisture more quickly, especially once they've been cut or bruised. And just like a damp sponge, that moisture leads to mold, slimy skin, and a weird off smell that can spread to other foods. Imagine trying to keep your socks dry by putting them in a wet drawer. That's what storing onions in the fridge is like. The cold makes them soggy on the inside, and then they start going bad faster than you think. Even worse, once an onion has been cut and stored in the fridge, it becomes a breeding ground for bacteria. Now here's a quick fix. Keep your onions in a cool, dark, and dry place, like a pantry, basket, or a mesh bag. They need air circulation, not cold, damp air. This keeps them fresh for weeks. If you've already cut an onion, only store the extra in the fridge if it's wrapped tightly, ideally in an airtight container. But even then, try to use it within 24 to 48 hours. The fridge might feel like the safe choice, but for onions, it's like sending them to a slow, smelly death. Food number 6, tomatoes. Tomatoes are one of those foods that seem like they should go in the fridge. They're juicy, they bruise easily, and hey, cold equals fresh, right? But here's the truth. The fridge is where tomatoes go to die, in flavor, texture, and nutrition. In a study published in PNAS, Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, scientists found that refrigeration stops the production of key flavor compounds in tomatoes in as little as a few hours. Within just 48 hours in the fridge, tomatoes lose over 65% of their aroma and taste due to cold stress-induced changes in their genes. And that's not all. The cold disrupts the enzymes responsible for ripening. That means your tomatoes not only taste dull, they also never fully ripen. A 2016 study by the University of Florida found that tomatoes lost most of their volatiles, the compounds responsible for their rich, ripe smell and flavor, after just 7 days in the refrigerator. That means even if they look okay, their taste is already gone. So how should you actually store them to keep all that flavor intact? Store your tomatoes on the counter, stem side down and out of direct sunlight. This slows water loss and ripens them evenly. If they're a bit too ripe and you absolutely must store them, put them in the fridge only temporarily and bring them back to room temperature before eating to revive some flavor. But if you want full flavor, maximum nutrients, and a bite that bursts instead of squishes, keep your tomatoes out of the cold. Food number 5, garlic. Garlic is one of the healthiest foods you can eat. It helps fight infections, lowers blood pressure, and supports your immune system. But if you store it in the fridge, you could be ruining all those benefits and putting yourself at risk. Cold air makes garlic sprout faster, and once it sprouts, it starts to lose its main healthy compound, called allicin, the part that gives garlic its strong smell and its healing power. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Food Biochemistry found that sprouted garlic can lose up to 50% of its allicin content. Also, if you chop garlic and leave it in oil, then store it in the fridge, it can grow a deadly toxin called botulism without any smell, color, or warning. That's why the FDA warns against storing garlic in oil unless you add vinegar or lemon juice to make it safer. So instead of risking it, the safest way to keep garlic fresh and powerful is how it's been done for generations. Store whole garlic bulbs in a cool, dry place, like a pantry or kitchen basket. Don't put them in the fridge. Food number 4, coffee. Coffee wakes you up, boosts your brain, and is packed with antioxidants, but putting it in the fridge? That's a quick way to ruin all of that. Coffee is hygroscopic, which means it absorbs moisture and smells from everything around it. So when you store it in the fridge, it soaks up odors from onions, leftovers, even fruits, and those end up in your cup. A 2020 study in the Journal of Food Quality found that moisture makes coffee go stale in just 48 hours. It also breaks down the good stuff, like chlorogenic acids, the antioxidants that support your heart and brain. That's why experts say, don't store coffee in the fridge, ever. So here's what to do instead. Keep your coffee in an airtight container in a cool, dark cupboard. If you buy a big bag, freeze what you won't use right away. Just don't open and close it often. Because for coffee, the fridge is where flavor goes to die. Food number 3, honey. Honey is one of the only foods that never spoils on its own. It's naturally antibacterial, antifungal, and full of antioxidants. But when you put honey in the fridge, you're actually making it worse and not better. Cold temperatures cause honey to crystallize. It turns thick, gritty, and hard to scoop. And that's not just a texture issue. The crystals can trap moisture, which can eventually lead to fermentation. A study published in the International Journal of Food Properties found that refrigerated honey loses enzyme activity and becomes more acidic over time, reducing its health benefits. So here's what to do instead. Store honey in a sealed jar at room temperature, away from direct sunlight. It doesn't need to be chilled. It stays fresh naturally. So skip the fridge and let honey do what it does best. Stay golden, smooth, and healing. Food number 2, banana. Bananas are a go-to snack for many seniors. They're soft, easy to digest, and packed with potassium. But putting them in the fridge is where the trouble starts. Cold temperatures interrupt the ripening process, leaving bananas hard, flavorless, and dull. Their skin also turns black quickly, which is a sign of cold damage, not spoilage. A study in the Journal of Food Science and Technology found that refrigerated bananas lose key antioxidants like dopamine and catechins, which help protect brain cells and reduce inflammation. So here's what to do instead. Store bananas at room temperature, ideally hanging or in a fruit bowl with airflow around them. Once they're ripe, you can peel and freeze them for smoothies, but don't chill them whole. Bananas weren't made for the cold, and neither were their nutrients. Food number 1, olive oil. Olive oil is praised for being heart-healthy, full of antioxidants, and a key part of the Mediterranean diet. But putting it in the fridge is a common mistake. Cold temperatures cause olive oil to solidify and turn cloudy. That might seem harmless, but every time the temperature changes as you take it in and out of the fridge, it stresses the oil and speeds up oxidation. A 2021 study in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that repeated temperature shifts can break down antioxidants in olive oil and create free radicals that promote inflammation. So here's what to do instead. Store olive oil in a dark glass bottle or metal tin in a cool, dry cupboard away from heat and sunlight. When kept properly, good olive oil can last up to 2 years and keep all its flavor and health benefits. The fridge does more harm than good, even if it seems like the safer choice. That wraps up our list of 9 everyday foods you should never refrigerate. Some habits seem harmless, but over time they can quietly affect your health, energy, and even your immune system. So take a moment to check your fridge, make a few small changes, and let your food work for you, not against you. But before you go, if you care about your digestion, you need to watch this video, Top 3 Foods to Prevent Gut Breakdown in Seniors. It reveals simple foods that protect your gut lining, boost nutrient absorption, and fight off the root cause of age-related inflammation. If you found this helpful, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe for more health-smart tips made simple.